Hello everyone, today I'm glad to present you the different ways I'm making gold in Wrath of the Lich King. It's going to be easy gold flips, investments, open world farms, dailies and other stuff you can do. So 1 week ago I invested into a lot of Eternal Water. The main reason why I did this was because I needed them for leatherworking. But because I didn't have a leatherworker myself, well then I had to go to the trade chat and look for someone. Lucky enough, I was able to find a person who would charge only 5 gold fee for every epic craft. What I needed the person to craft was these pair of epic mail feeds. The reason why I needed these, well, they were cheap to craft, but I could easily flip them on the auction house. In the end, I ended up with a lot of these boots, so I had to find an enchanter who would disenchant some of them. These disenchanting materials were selling for quite a bit, so I could easily also make some gold this way. On the auction house, the price for the Abyss Crystal, but also the epic feeds were about the same price. And it only took me around 1 day to sell everything. And the average profit I made for the epic feeds and the Abyss Crystal were about 50 gold for each of them. Yesterday I also invested into a lot of the different Dark Moon decks. These decks you can hand in and get an epic trinket. But you will only be able to hand in this deck and get the epic trinket for a short amount of time every single month. So 2 hours before the event ended, I went to the Dark Moon Fair, handed in the decks and got some trinkets. Some of these trinkets were already cheap on the auction house, but then again, tomorrow you will not be able to get them, so I expect the price to go up. For that specific reason, I've actually invested a lot more gold into these. So here's an example. The Dark Moon Fair ended yesterday, and the average price I paid for each deck, but also the trinket, was around 250 gold. And now they're already way more expensive, and I expect the price to increase throughout the next week or two. So while they're expensive, I will definitely try to sell them. And the next time the Dark Moon Fair event is here once again, then I'll most likely invest. But the item where I've invested most of my gold into is the Dark Moon card Greatness. In fact, I've even purchased 3 of these. And the average price I paid was around 9,500 gold. Hopefully all of these investments will turn out greatness. Another thing that has been quite profitable for me is to farm with the different gather professions in either vanilla or Burning Crusade content. A lot of these zones are not contested, but people are still paying an insane amount of gold for these materials. So if you play a class that can solo Burning Crusade dungeons for gold, well, then you can always do this and still get a high amount. And if your mining skill is 450, then I would also recommend you to melt Titan Steel. This you can do once every 20 hours, and it's an easy way to make a profit of 50 to 100 gold. In a moment I will show you the other ways I make gold, but before I show you this, then I would highly recommend you to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're mainly interested in gold making, but also Wrath of the Lich King videos. So ever since I reached level 80, I went back to some of the other zones in Northrend and completed all the different quests. Every time I did this, I got anywhere between 10 to around 30 gold for every quest. And sometimes I even managed to make more than 30 gold, especially if I sold the green or blue items. I tested this for 4 hours, and I made an average of 443 raw gold every single hour. This is especially useful for those of you who don't have gather professions or a class that can solo dungeons. Now that I'm already talking about quests, then remember you can also do a lot of different daily quests. These you can pick up all over Northrend. But where I usually go is to Icecrown. Here you can pick up so many different daily quests, and I usually spend around 1 hour to complete all of them. This will also grant me an easy 400 gold. One thing you also need to know is that whenever you do some of these daily quests, you're also granted reputation with different factions. So if there's a specific faction you need, then I would highly recommend you to do the daily quest. For those of you who has a class that can solo Burning Crusade dungeons, then I would also recommend you to do this. There's going to be so many different Burning Crusade dungeons you can do, and most of these rewards easily 400 to 600 gold every single hour. I usually do this myself whenever I need to make some raw gold in next to no time. In Wintergrasp you can complete different quests and get the currency Stonekeeper shards. These shards you can also collect in dungeons and heroics whenever you kill a boss. You just need to make sure you have the Wintergrasp buff. So what you can do with the Stonekeeper shards is to purchase this epic gem. And you need to provide 20 of them to purchase 1 gem. This you can then sell on your auction house to make some gold. These gems are not that expensive, but still if you don't know what to do with your shards, well then now you have a way to make some gold. As always, thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day. Peace.